Tommy, this time of year the questions are rolling in, and a lot of them are about ice dams.
Oh yeah, well if you live in a part of a country where you're going to get a lot of snow in your roof, you run the risk of an ice dam. Now an ice dam is actually a large block of ice, let's do this, that forms right along the lower edge of your roof. And that ice actually is formed by the melting snow on top of your roof. The water runs down, and when it hits the cold overhang, it freezes and grows up. And as it grows up, you have a reservoir behind it.
Right, so you get that more of that melting water which forms right here, and eventually it starts working backwards and gets up underneath the shingles.
Right, exactly. Your shingles are meant to shed water this way. But when the reservoir grows, it goes up underneath the shingle here, and when it hits the top of the shingle under here, the water gets down underneath all of these shingles and enters your house.
And when that water starts pouring in your house, you will do anything to get rid of these ice dams. And people do crazy stuff.
They do crazy things. They get up there with a hammer and they start banging away, and all you're going to do is damage your shingles, and you could get hurt.
Right.
People have gone up there with a chainsaw before, too.
I haven't done a
seen that.
chainsaw, but I've done an axe, and I do about every other year.
Well, probably one of the safest ways, if you have the problem, is to get a sock and fill it with rock salt and throw it up on the roof. What you're really trying to do is just break a hole in the dam. You're not trying to remove it all.
Sure.
Just get someplace for the water to exit.
All right, so these are temporary measures sort of done in the heat of the moment, but the better way to tackle it is a permanent solution, and that's really talking about insulation in the house. I mean, you know, the whole idea is that we're pumping tons of heat into the house to stay warm in the winter. It's really cold outside, and eventually that warm air leaks.
Exactly. Well, let's say it's 10 degrees outside. You get your house at 65, 70 degrees inside.
Right.
All that heat is escaping through your attic floor, melting the snow.
So if we can stop that heat loss, because we're not going to turn our heat off inside, if we can
Absolutely
stop that
not.
heat loss, we're going a long way to solving the ice dam.
Insulation is the key in how we insulate.
Right.
So we get up into our attic and we look into our joist bay. We have 16-inch joist bay, 24, whatever they are. See what kind of insulation we have in there. You want to have a minimum of 8 or 9 inches of insulation in there. If you don't have that, you need to add to it.
Right.
If you're going to add insulation to the space, and you can do it in your attic, add it perpendicular to the existing insulation.
So put one bat over the other bat at a 90 degree.
Right, and now think about that. You have a joist here with insulation between it. You also have a small gap between that insulation and the structure. By going over it, you're sealing the air leak.
Sure.
Air leak is a problem. All that air will get up and melt the snow.
Sometimes blown-in cellulose is a good solution that we've used, but you can't always lay more insulation on there because people want to store things or they need their attic floor, and so we've seen you actually insulate underneath the roof between the rafters.
Right, and I like to insulate the roof rafters, so if you've got open bays, I bring a company in and they actually spray foam the whole roof, and that's with open cell or closed cell. You're really air sealing it and you're insulating it, keeping all the heat in your house.
That air sealing is almost as important as the insulation itself.
Absolutely.